Shalom Aleichem and welcome to SNN-News. I am Dr. Daniel Jeshurun Vargas, bringing you the good news from Israel and hoping you are having a fantastic day. We will be dedicating today's program to the celebration of Israel's 65th birthday. At the close of the program, I will give my thoughts on the recent tragic bombings in Boston. In April 2013, the State of Israel celebrated its 65th birthday. This momentous occasion called for much celebration by the Jewish people in Israel and around the world. SNN-News is dedicating this entire program to honor Israel's birthday by sharing many of the inventions Israel has invented that the world is enjoying today. For 65 years, the State of Israel has not known a single day of peace. It has been like a constant eruption of a volcano over the land and its people. Israel has struggled with the rejection of its neighbors as well as the evil hatred throughout the history against the Jewish people. Virtually alone among the nations of the world, old or new, its legitimacy is questioned on simply denied. That is why it seems especially important for Americans who care about Israel to travel to the Holy Land in support of all of its accomplishments and successes of the last 65 years. And that is why we take annual tours to Israel, and that is why SNN-News exists to encourage support for the State of Israel and all it is doing for mankind around the world. On Israel's 65th birthday celebration, SNN-News brings you a quick look at many of the innovations that are improving lives across the planet thanks to Israeli creativity. From the disc-on key to revolutionary printing systems, drip irrigation, communications technologies, emergency bandages, treatments for multiple sclerosis, and a myriad of other innovative and awesome life-changing technologies, we take a look at the incredible developments that have all been made in Israel. Here is a 3-minute video showing many inventions you are enjoying today that you may not be aware were invented by Israelis. Another great invention by Israeli comes from PowerMat, an Israeli company with headquarters outside of Jerusalem, which pioneered the development of wireless cell phone chargers. The technology is one of the first practical applications of technology developed by Nikola Tesla over 100 years ago. PowerMat teamed up with American distributors to sell several million units in 2010 and recently inked a deal with General Motors to install their chargers in Chevy Volts.
Way of thinking was that the intonation is the secret.
So Dr. Lebanon analyzed over 50,000 voice samples in many languages. Dr. Yoram Lebanon, founder and CEO of Israeli company X-Audios, has developed a computer program that can decode a human voice to identify the person's emotional state. Dr. Lebanon began his research by asking how many emotions are in feel our emotions so clearly.
You can't look at you. It was only just emotions, but the least was the beginning. My way of thinking was that the intonation is the secret.
So Dr. Lebanon analyzed over 50,000 voice samples in many languages. Okay, let's try one of his programs.
Hebrew or French, and see that I'm excited because I'm talking about my work. I want to express myself. Maybe if you can just listen to the intonation, that you understand that's a love.
So how many emotions are in his emotional dictionary?
At the beginning, it was only 12 emotions, but that only was the beginning.
One of the first applications of the X-Audios technology was in a product for call centers called Maginify. Companies in the United States and in Israel are already using let's try one of his programs, which analyzes both the customer's and the agent's voice in real time. The software gives feedback to the agent during the call, for example, recommending to be more positive in the conversation. Maginify also has a component for supervisors to track their agents in real time. It identifies the levels of patronizing or aggressiveness in the voice of each agent. One of the first applications of the X-Audios technology was in a product for call centers called Maginify. Companies in the United States and in Israel are already using Maginify, which analyzes both the customers and the agent's voice. The products can save customers and companies money. The software gives feedback to the agent during the call. After finding that these programs were only about 80% accurate, more positive Lebanon discovered another surprising fact. Maginify also has a component for supervisors to track their agents in real time. Parkinson's, heart disease, it identifies the levels of patronizing or aggressiveness in the voice of each agent. Institute of Science using X-Audios software correctly identified 85% of mildly autistic children. Lebanon can sometimes even identify a disease before the doctors can. According to X-Audios, the products can save customers and companies money. After finding that these programs were only about 80% accurate, what's in the future? Lebanon discovered another surprising fact. An emotional Our voices are influenced by certain diseases, including Parkinson's, heart disease, autism, and even cancer. A study at Weizmann Institute of Science using X-Audios software correctly identified 85% of mildly autistic children. Lebanon can sometimes even identify a disease before the doctors can.
For example, prostate cancer, they found it even months
Find out about other exciting stories at Israel21c.org. Lebanon talks about an emotional search engine.
Google can say something about if you are asking for love songs, for example, you will get the information. But if I'm talking about love songs and I'm desperate, the system will look for the love song which are fitted to a man in desperate.
Find out about other exciting stories at Israel21c.org.
Well, it is important that we celebrate the successes of the State of Israel on her 65th birthday. It is equally important that we explore the social, economic, and political, as well as religious challenges that Israel is encountering. The name Israel comes from a changed name God gave to Jacob, changing his name from Jacob to Israel. The very name means wrestling because Jacob wrestled with God. It also means struggling, grappling, the interaction of the human with what is beyond human, for Jacob did wrestle with God. The real challenge facing Israel today is to produce a society worthy of its name. Israel means triumphant with God, one who prevails with God. After all, Jacob did wrestle with God, according to Genesis chapter 32 and verse 28. In honor of Israel's birthday, we present to you the story of the November 29, 1947 UN vote for the partition of Palestine, a vote that lasted a mere 3 minutes and changed the course of Jewish history and brought 20 centuries of Jewish homelessness to an end. We're going to show you this quick video here so that you may get a better understanding of what it means for Israel to be a state today.
Some people were pursued by us till the last minute and voted for.
Diplomacy continued up until the vote itself was held.
There was a South American country, I don't want to tell you which, so
the minutes of Britain's mandate are ticking to an end, but the nations are still deliberating over the future of the Holy Land.
Palestine in 1947 had reached its boiling point. 30 years had passed since the Balfour Declaration announced Britain's support for a national home for the Jewish people. Hundreds of thousands of Jewish refugees, survivors of the horrors of the Shoah, were trying to make their way to Palestine, but Britain had shut the gates to immigration. The Jewish underground movements increased military actions to force the British out.
The British were fed up, and they had passed on the problem of the partition of Palestine to a United Nations Committee in UNSCOP, who were deliberating. Nobody really believed in our day the UN was the place where you deliberated and deliberated. They never did anything. They talked a lot.
The United Nations Committee recommended an end to the British mandate and the partition of Palestine into 2 states, an Arab state and a Jewish state, and scheduled a vote in the UN General Assembly at Lake Success, New York. A 2/3 majority was required to pass the proposal. Despite the support of both the United States and the Soviet Union, many other countries needed to be convinced.
You spoke to the Belgian, you spoke to the Swede, and you spoke to the Brazilian, preaching, explaining why all the time. The refugees and the displaced people, they call them displaced persons in Europe.
There were a number of us working at the same time also on getting votes.
A preliminary vote showed the Jewish agency delegation coming up short. The diplomatic team focused their efforts on 3 countries that were still undecided: Liberia, Haiti, and the Philippines.
יום אחד אנחנו מקבלים צלצול מהמטה של ההגנה בפריז, הייתה הוראה לחפש בלונדון איזה גוי, והאיש הזה דיבר עם נשיא הפיליפינים שהבטיח לו להצביע בעד, והנה מתברר שהשגריר שלהם בלייק סקסס לא קיבל הוראה. מצאנו אותו, זה היה כבר מאוחר בלילה, התחלנו להסביר לו שהנשיא לא עמד בדיבורו והיה שקט, אז התחלנו לשאול מה קרה. אז הוא אומר, תשמע, אני חושב, I'm thinking. מה אתה חושב עכשיו ב3 בבוקר? הוא אומר, אני חושב איזה שעה עכשיו בפיליפינים. ובסוף הייתה שיחה עם נשיא הפיליפינים, והוא הובטח שהשגריר שלו יקבל הוראה.
It was touch and go all the time till you got everything lined up.
Haiti, of all countries, was the last country to come to vote. We sent down to Haiti a Protestant minister by the name of Sheldon, who was also believed that the Jews should have a homeland. They went down for 2 or 3 days, and on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, they came back and they said Haiti will vote with us.
Some people promised and voted against. Some people were pursued by us till the last minute and voted for.
Diplomacy continued up until the vote itself was held.
And there was a South American country, I don't want to tell you which, so our head of the Latin group, an Argentinian Jew who was in the Mishlachat, he went to the men's room and he recognized the men's shoes under the door, and he knocked and he said, "You promised to vote, they are voting now, I'm here to bring you to the voting." And he voted.
This was Saturday night.
Somebody explained it can't be Friday night because En Mashiach Ba B'Shabbat.
Of course, we huddled around the radio, which was only a battery radio, and kept conking out.
כל השולחנות והספסלים אל מול הרדיו, אנחנו שוכבים על השולחנות, מתים מעייפות. היו יומיים בלי שינה, היה קרב באמצע.
Jews throughout the world held their breath in anticipation.
Those who are in favor will say yes, those who are against will say no. And the abstainers always think they know what to say.
They went through the vote.
We will start with that. Afghanistan.
We were keeping score.
No. Argentina.
On a radio in the office.
ואני זוכר מאוד את הקולות של גואטמלה, yes, ארגנטינה, abstention, Lebanon, no.
Yugoslavia and Spain. United Kingdom and Spain.
כשהגענו לאות פי, פיליפינים, אמרו כן, אז ידענו שאנחנו עשינו איזה, תרמנו משהו.
בעד, פלוס, נגד, מינוס.
I remember the excitement. This was our life.
At one point, we made it.
The resolution of the DEP Committee for Palestine was adopted by 33 votes, 13 against, 10 abstentions.
After the vote, people were crying. People were embracing.
ואז יצאו כולם ויצאנו כולנו לרחבה המרכזית של העיר.
They were dancing in the streets. Even the British. I remember one of them came by in a tank, picked up some kids, take them on a ride around.
The land of Israel was the birthplace of the Jewish people. Here, their spiritual, religious, and national identity was formed. Here, they achieved independence and created a culture of national and universal significance. Here, they wrote and gave the Bible to the world. Exiled from Palestine, the Jewish people remained faithful to it in all the countries of their dispersion, never ceasing to pray and hope for their return and the restoration of their national freedom. Now, as the final vote in the United Nations is counted in favor of Israel becoming a state, the people are exuberant with joy. Here is the final part of that short film, November 29th in 1947.
I've never seen in my life was that down around that court. God is going to be an end to all this. And he said, now let's go into town. So
standing on the balcony of the Sochnot building, the heart of Jerusalem, and he raised his hand, and utter silence waited for her words. He called it the Hebrew state because it had no name,
in the car,
and asked everyone to
Sharet, my husband and myself, from Lake Success to Manhattan, and nobody said a word.
As for these 20 centuries, we Jews were always
it was overpowering.
The object of history. That is, an object where others made the decision for us. As of that date onwards, we suddenly become again the subject of history. Everybody was streaming towards the Jewish state. Government is waiting for the state to be headed by David. I have a picture of myself on the roof of the
where you were sitting,
I don't know how I got there.
Your country was forming itself as a country.
I remember the moment.
I've never seen in
something
my life.
is now about to happen. The dream of 2,000 years, maybe. I mean, that's when we started imagining what might be. Ben-Gurion, standing on the balcony of the Sochnot building, the heart of Jerusalem, and he raised his hand, and utter silence waited for his words. Chi HaMedina HaIvrit. He called it the Hebrew state because it had no name, and asked everyone to sing Hatikvah.
20 centuries, we Jews were always the object of history. That is, an object where others made the decisions for us. As of that date onwards, we suddenly become again the subject of history, where we make the decisions for ourselves.
ההרגשה הייתה, מעכשיו מתחיל עולם חדש. עולם שאין בו מגבלות, אין בו בעיות, טוב לכולם.
There you were sitting, and there your country was forming itself as a country.
I remember the moment. Something is now about to happen. The dream of 2,000 years, maybe. I mean, that's when we started imagining what might be.
When the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted a resolution for the establishment of an independent Jewish state in Palestine, they called upon the inhabitants of the country to take such steps as may be necessary on their part to put the plan into effect. The recognition of the United Nations on November 29, 1947, giving the Jewish people the right to establish their independent state, the resolution states that it may not be revoked. It is, moreover, the self-evident right of the Jewish people to be a nation as all other nations in its own sovereign state. And that, my friend, is but a confirmation of what the Holy Scriptures already have confirmed to be true. And now my thoughts, I want to address the horror of the Boston bombings. In Israel, bomb attacks such as the one in Boston are meant to terrorize and maim, to make Israelis give up and leave their homes. Yet the more Israel's enemies try to weaken it, the stronger the Jewish state seems to become. Facing terror that's meant to destroy its citizens' morale, amazingly, Israel has managed to lead in international rankings of happiness. They have learned how to rejoice through tribulations. The only real goal of any terrorist is to destroy lives, families, societies. As Benjamin Netanyahu once said, terrorism is carried out purposefully in cold-blooded, calculated fashion. The declared goals of the terrorist may change from place to place. He supposedly fights to remedy wrongs by its social, religious, and national or racial. But all these problems, his only solution is the demolition of the whole structure of society. No partial solution, not even the total redressing of the grievances he complains of will satisfy him until our social system is destroyed or delivered into his hands. And now the United States has not experienced the kind of sustained attacks on its homeland as Israel has. Last year alone, 92 Israelis lost their lives through acts of terrorism. Since records have been kept, over 26,000 people have died in Israel due to terroristic bombings. For whatever reason this terror bombing in Boston may have been, the root cause of all acts of terror against man from any country or ethnic group is described by the prophet Yirmiyahu, that is Jeremiah, in chapter 17, verse 9. It says, "The heart is deceitful above all else and mortally sick. Who can fathom it?" The biblical use of the term heart refers to the mind, the source of thinking, emotions, and actions. Thus, the biblical term heart is a reflection of one's character. A heart without God is bent on being deceitful. Deceit will be found where there are active and intentional efforts to deceive oneself and others and obscure the true sinful nature of man's nature. As we heard from Jeremiah, the heart of man is more deceitful than anything, or desperately wicked. And it implies beyond the help of man to cure such a heart, describing man's depth of moral depravity. We find also in 2 Chronicles 7:14 that it is still relevant for us today as when it was given probably by the prophet Ezra. If my people who bear my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin and heal their land. And that, my friend, means that God can heal the heart. We want to really welcome our new SNN News sponsors, Secret. Please take a moment and learn about the Secret, a wonderful product that comes from Israel. It is called CSEA, Cret, C-R-E-T, Secret.
The human body contains 5 liters of blood, 40 liters of water, 78 organs, 206 bones, 600 muscles, 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion cells. And at the center of it is a heart that beats around 2.5 billion times a year. And the only thing protecting all this is your skin. That's what Secret is all about, protecting your skin. Our skin is so valuable. Caring for it is not only a luxury, but a necessity and top priority. And the secret to great skin lies here. Kings and queens would escape here over 5,000 years ago. King Herod built the world's first spa on these shores. And the beautiful Cleopatra used these waters for her ultimate body rejuvenation. This place is known as the Dead Sea. It's 1,388 feet below sea level, making it the lowest point on Earth. The unique formation of the Dead Sea allows water to only escape through evaporation, leaving an abundant replenishment of salts and highly concentrated minerals. The Dead Sea contains over 26 unique minerals, 12 of them exclusive to only this sea. These salts and minerals are what gives the Dead Sea its healing ability. The entire environment has been therapeutic for so many people with skincare problems, such as acne, eczema, psoriasis, dry skin, or those simply looking to stay ageless.
Well, that's it, my friend. Until next week, may you experience the love of our Abba Father, God, and the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. God bless you. And I want to say once again, Shalom, Shalom.